The meeting for the CAC for December the 9th is being called to order now. And what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and call the roll today. When I call your name, if you're there, just sing out with your name. And Malia, if you see people who have joined, let me know. If not, just let me, say not yet or whatever. All right. So let's go. Ray Bach.
Here.
Doris Brevert. And she usually comes online. And also I'll move forward with, we know that BJ's there, right? Yes. BJ? Okay, gotcha. Louise, Eden. Okay, let's move on here. Robin Gosney. Robin Gosney. Okay, what about, and then I'll go back over these. Chris Jones is there, correct?
Yes.
I thought I heard that voice. And Judy is here. Dan Kiangu. Okay, Mike, you're there, correct?
Yes.
All right, John Norman. Okay, I don't hear anything there. Manette Pardon, I think you got on, right?
Yes, I did.
Wonderful. Dick Phillips. Dick Phillips, is he there?
No.
No, he is not. Irene Perkusky.
I'm here.
Good for you. Valerie Rose. Not yet. Okay, Dave Stevens.
Here.
Okay, so for the online people who, I know Irene's joined us, Minette's joined us. Anybody else that we need? Malia?
I just saw that Anna joined. Other than that, you have called off everyone. Yes.
Okay, so we do have a few missing. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, we do have quorum. All right. I was just wondering about that. So yes, and please feel free, Malia, to let me know when somebody joins, and then we'll just proceed on. Okay, thank you. Public comments. I'd like to welcome our guest here. We'll give you about 2 or 3 minutes. Could you state your name and what your item is you wish to talk about?
Yeah, give us just 1 second, Judy, please. He's going to reposition himself. If you don't mind.
Of course, no problem.
Hi, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Great. So, good evening. My name is Liam Deepice. I ride Skagit Transit daily to get from my home in South Mount Vernon to my office, which is Burlington.
Okay, excuse me, your name one more time, please.
Liam Deepice. The name
okay, and can you spell that last name, please?
Diephuis.
Got it. Thank you. And proceed. I'm sorry.
Okay, no worries. So yeah, I commute on Skagit Transit daily from South Mount Vernon to Burlington near downtown. Because I live close enough to Skagit Station and work close enough to the Chucknut Park and Ride, in addition to the 208, which goes between those two, there's the 80X and 90X, which stop at both of those. And those are often, depending on the time of day, faster than the 208, so I regularly use those ones. However, lately I've had a couple of drivers tell me that their instructions are not, or their instructions are to not open the rear doors to let people out if it's the 80X stopping at Chucknut on its way north, or the 90X stopping at Skagit Station on its way south. And they recommended that I not ride those ones in that way. So I just come to make a comment to suggest or ask that the instructions be changed for the drivers so that they will all, if they're driving the 80X, open the door to let people out of Chucknut, or let people out when they're going south and stopping at Skagit Station, because this maintains an additional option for travelers between Burlington and Mount Vernon at effectively 0 costs to Skagit Transit.
How many drivers have you had do that to you?
Just a couple. Like I've been riding it that way for a couple years, and it's only lately that a couple of them told me that. Which, like,
The policy actually is we're supposed to open the back door every time you stop and pick these up. So
okay,
that's something that's just got to be communicated, I think.
yeah,
I was gonna say, it's not standard practice for me to respond to public comment, but please give me your email or phone number to reach you at, because as the planning manager, that's definitely something I can look into and can get you a response for. As always, you are welcome to contact customer service and ask that your concern be passed along to the planning department. And they documented so that you would receive a response within a few business days.
So
okay,
something you might want to do too. We used to have a button on the GFI. So instead of paying $2 for the trip, you only paid $1.
Right.
So that's something you might want to see.
yeah. It's really no big deal. Like I know Skagit Transit's been hiring a lot of new drivers lately, so if there's confusion over the rules, I totally get it. But yeah,
You brought it to the right place. And then I think as a committee, we should probably follow up on this to see, with you, Malia, to see how this has happened. And you are always welcome to come in and comment and follow up with us too, Liam, for your experiences going forward.
thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you for being here.
And it's not like this has stopped me from getting to work or home at any point. It's just, yeah, I wasn't sure what to make of it.
Well, thank you for showing up. You're welcome to stay for the meeting.
Okay, I got you.
Absolutely.
Thanks
Yeah.
for
Thank you
coming
for
in.
being here.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Do we have any other public commenters?
None present?
Okay, thank you. Well, we do have a guest, and just go ahead really quick, Anna, and introduce yourself briefly, and then we'll get to your presentation in a bit.
Sorry about that.
Anna?
Working on unmuting.
There you
Yes,
go.
can you hear me? Sorry.
Okay.
Anna Zevarts. I am with the Non-Drivers Alliance and looking forward to talking with you when you have time. I'll be hanging out.
Yeah, we'll see you in a bit. That sounds really good. All right, so moving forward, we've got November meeting minutes to go over. Are there any additions or corrections to the November meeting minutes? Okay, hearing none, does anyone want to bring a motion forward?
Madam Chair, Chris Jones.
Yes, Chris Jones.
I would like to make a motion that we approve the minutes as submitted for November.
Any second?
A second.
Okay, BJ seconds. Okay, it's been moved and seconded that the November meeting minutes be approved as submitted. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, opposed?
Yay.
All right, you. Now, now really, according to Robert's rules, you can't really do that because that would come in as an opposition. So I'm assuming you're just joking around, right?
Yeah, and
Okay.
we're gonna train him to stop.
All right, yeah. Technically, you shouldn't be doing that, but I get it.
Judy,
It's
I just
been
wanna
moved.
know that Rogelio has joined us.
Excuse me?
I just wanted to let you know that Rogelio has joined us.
Rogelio, very good. And Rogelio, you're always welcome. Thank you. Anybody else online?
No.
Okay. All right. Very good. Okay. Thank you all for just approving those. I appreciate that. All right. We're going to move forward now to our guest speaker, Anna Zevarts. And Anna is the director of the Non-Driver Alliance, a newly launched statewide effort that's going forward that's really partnering transit agencies with ridership and boards and coalitions, all kinds of stuff. And Anna, you've got the floor.
All right, thanks, Judy. Appreciate it. And sorry, my voice is, I lost my voice last week. Had a kid cold and it hasn't come back yet. Been talking too much. So hopefully you can understand me all right.
Yeah.
It's great to be here. Thank you for the invitation. Thanks for all being here and fighting for transit. Just real quick, who I am. I grew up outside of Olympia, rural Thurston County. Was born with an eye condition. That means that I don't see well enough to drive. And the very first political campaigns I worked on was in high school to fight back against, I don't know if y'all remember Tim Eyman and some of his initiatives
Uh,
back
Oh,
in
yeah.
the state, like the late 90s. It was the very first one.
Yeah.
It's a horrible
So,
person.
yeah. Anyway, so I'm passionate about fighting for transit. I lived in New York City for a long time, in my 20s and early 30s, and moved back to Seattle about 8 years ago now, to work for Disability Rights Washington. And that's where I started to connect with a lot of other folks around our state who couldn't drive and couldn't afford to drive and loved to use transit. And one of those people was Judy. At Disability Rights Washington, we did a lot of storytelling, what we called our story map process, where we interviewed people throughout the state who couldn't drive about their transportation needs. And one of the things that I learned, I think was most sort of surprising for me in doing those interviews, was how many folks had been involved for a long time in trying to make transit work better for their communities and had spent years, showing up at transit board meetings, were really passionate about this issue, and felt that it was frustrating when they would go to transit board meetings and feel like they were being dismissed, because they were riders and they weren't elected officials. And at the same time, those elected officials, when they asked them if they ever rode transit, would often reply, well, I don't have time to ride transit. Transit takes too long. And so there was just this disconnect between the people using the service and the people in charge of the service. And so starting about 4 years ago now, we started trying to work on a piece of legislation that would allow transit agencies to appoint transit board members, transit riders to the transit board as voting members. And this came out of a couple of different initiatives. One was that it actually exists already in Thurston County. Intercity Transit there has community riders as voting members on their board. They've had it since the 80s. They fought for it and they won it. And it's worked really well for them. And it's not only helped them as an agency provide the service that the community needs, but also helped bring in leadership into the transit agency that wouldn't necessarily see themselves as, people who work in transit. And so I think that's been a really great example. There's also, most states and most other states outside of Washington have boards where there are, appointed members who are transit riders, and we just don't do that as much here. And so we worked really hard, took a lot of work, but finally this last legislative session, so the one that wrapped up in May, we were able to work with our state legislatures to pass a piece of legislation that allows transit agencies the option to add 2 voting members to their transit boards, one who is a transit rider, and one who works for an organization that serves transit riders. And so now the new organization that I created and have been working to build is really about how do we implement this legislation, and how do we support transit riders throughout the state who are interested in perhaps taking a step and learning more about what it means to run a transit agency, what it means to be a board member, what it means to work in the industry. How do we support them in finding and building that knowledge? And so we're doing a bunch of things. One of them is that we have weekly meetings online for any transit rider throughout the state who wants to come and learn. We have guest speakers every week who talk about different issues in transportation policy. Right now, we have a bunch of guest speakers that are focused on sharing what their organizations are doing in the legislative session this year, so people can learn about what's going on, where the conversations are happening around transportation policy and housing policy and land use policy in our state. Then the other pieces we're doing is we are organizing a series of walk roll events. Our state is really cool. We're actually one of the first states, I think, to do this, but we got some funding through our state legislature to map all the sidewalks in our state, which is really great. So there'll be one database with all that information. So if an agency wants to know, a city wants to know, oh gosh, where are there missing sidewalks? Where are there missing curb ramps? That data exists. And so we've been partnering with the University of Washington that created that data to do some walk roll events focused on transit stop access. And so we're doing those right now. We have events planned in Clark County, down in Vancouver, and in Pierce County, in Tacoma. We'd love to do one in Skagit County. So we're feeling that out right now. And that's something that some of you may want to join us on. And then finally, we are creating sort of a deeper dive seminar And this will probably start either probably next fall, to be realistic. We're not going to start a school in the summer. That's going to be a more intensive training for either folks who are currently on transit boards, whether they're elected leaders or not, or folks who are really ready to make that step and want to get some training about what it means to be a board member and what it means to have sort of a deeper understanding of a transportation policy. So that's us. I am happy to take some questions. Yeah, Jody, if there's anything I didn't cover that you were hoping I could talk about, let me know.
Yeah, if you could just briefly talk about what the law is about the PTBA boards briefly. And then the other question I have is, what would you say to if you were to come across any board members or any transit agencies? This is the question I hadn't asked, but that are not that are not in favor, who have questions, or what questions and things are transit agencies saying to you who are being approached about with this?
Yeah, I mean, I think, we're hearing a lot of different things. We're talking about transit agencies, about what they would hope their board members would know, what kind of training they would want their board members to have. And then we're talking to the boards of these transit agencies, and there's 20 of them throughout the state that have the option of adding these members, about what communities would they like to see represented on the transit board, what voices are not there, and so those conversations are great conversations to have. I think yeah, and I think if agencies have questions about how this could work or why it's useful, looking to intercity transit in Olympia, they've been doing it since the 80s.
Oh yeah,
I've been alive, right? Like
yeah.
they've been doing this for a while, and it's worked well for them, and it hasn't, the sky hasn't fallen. And so I think that's one place to look. There's also a lot of transit agencies in different parts of the US that have very different sort of governance structures than we do here. And everything has its pluses and minuses. But having people use the service that they're in charge of, I think really does help make sure that there's that level of communication and knowledge and expertise around what that experience is really like. And so that's what we're hoping to achieve.
Okay, so thank you for that. Does anybody else have any questions for Anna?
I just had one question.
Ray, yes.
You mentioned about, was it sidewalks where they were and weren't? And there was data on that.
Yes.
Where, what's the website, or where would I go and look?
Yeah. Let's see. Probably the easiest way to get there is to Google Tasker Center, University of Washington. And you go to current projects. And then you take the very first project on the upper left of their website. It says the Sidewalk Inventory and Accessibility Mapping under Washington State Proviso is the title. I can read you the URL for that, but it's pretty long.
Yeah,
you send me the link and I'll get it out.
Okay, I don't know if I have the option to paste links into the chat here. I can try to do that. And you can look there about the data. There's actually some great interactive maps that are available with that data on it. Yeah, and
can you send me the link in an email?
Okay.
Yeah, if you send it to Judy, then she can send
I'll
that
get it out.
You were breaking
Yep.
up a little bit, so it was hard.
Okay, I'm gonna paste it in the chat too, in case there's a way for folks to share it out there.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. That is great. And they were even talking about it a couple of years ago at this non-driver seminar, Ray, that I attended. And it was just the most awesome thing. I thought, where has this been? And this is a living thing that they're working on. So it's great. Any other questions for Anna?
Oh, great. I don't.
Valerie, hi.
Hi. Oh, good. You can hear me.
Yes.
Oh, boy. Teams and I don't get along very easily. But Anna, what I'm wondering is, I know that your organization has promoted a week without driving. and asked people to approach our elected officials and and say, hey, can you go a week without driving? Heck, even a day without driving would be a step forward. And so you said that sometimes, elected officials have said, I can't possibly, I'm too busy. Have you had any elected officials say yes?
We have, yeah. And I'm trying to think, I should pull up the list of Skagit County elected officials. Judy, who was it that we were meeting with? Was it
Peter
Peter
Browning that we talked with yesterday? Yes, he
Yeah, he
did.
participated this last year. So Skagit.
Peter Browning, Commissioner Browning.
Wow. He did a whole week?
He did 2 days.
Hey,
I
step in the
know.
right direction.
Yes.
No, it's really exciting to hear. And I think that is, another part that we're going to be working on this coming year is after, we'll be building close relationships with all the elected officials on these transit boards throughout the state. And part of that will be engaging with them about what their participation in Week Without Driving could look like, right? I know it's really hard for some folks to imagine even going a day, but maybe a trip, right, that they normally would have driven. What would it mean to try to make that trip work? Asking for a ride or combining asking for a ride with the transit system that they're in charge of. So we'll be working on that, getting ready to make that happen. And I actually have someone working with me full time now on that effort, Ruth Rosas, who's fabulous. And
wow.
Yeah, we'll be helping coordinate that piece. We're still wrapping up a little bit from this last year and gathering all the stories and data, but that will be starting next year soon.
That's great. Thank you.
Judy, this is Minette. May I ask a question?
Yes, Minette, for Anna, sure.
Well, I would like to say, Anna, if they're telling you that's too complicated or time consuming to take it, isn't that a huge clue to them that they ought to be fixing it?
It definitely illustrates the gaps in the system. And I think that's important, right? So, I guess my perspective is, having lived in places where there's a lot more transit access, like, these are choices and we can make it work, right? If we prioritize it as a way for people to get around, not just people who have to use it, but, for everyone.
I agree with that. Thank you.
All right. Very, very good. Any other questions for Anna? I have one last one, unless somebody else has one. Are you in a position to be able to address exactly how the inner city transit advisory is working with their board, what that looks like, and some of the impacts it's had having ridership on their board?
Gosh, I have been working with them. We're trying to figure out a way to have them come talk to our group in one of our Friday meetings about how it all works and what works. I know, usually they select, it's 3 community members that are usually first serve on their community advisory committee and then are pulled into board service, is my understanding of how it works. And one thing they started doing last year, and I can paste an article here as well about sort of what I learned about their process, is they've actually started providing stipends as an agency to their community advisory committee members, because they recognize that that knowledge and expertise is something that they want to make sure that they have, and that people have the ability to participate. So I'll paste a link in the chat. There's an article I wrote last year when we were working on this legislation, really about how the inner city transit system came to be, their governance structure, and some of its impacts, which is a good place to start.
That would be great.
Yeah.
And if you can send me the email link to that too, because some of our people are not on computers, they're on the phone.
Yeah,
so that would be great. Send that to me. And so the thing about that, what it sounds like is that their advisory committee is sort of the training ground for members to actually serve on their board, correct?
That's my understanding.
Is that how that works?
No, and I will let you know. Once we get something set up where we can hear more from them directly.
Okay, great. That's great. Okay. All right. Are there any other questions for Anna?
I'm going to sign off if that's all right.
Okay.
a dinner to cook. So, all right. Take care, everyone.
What? Not pizza? All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Anna, and just educating us on what's going on statewide. I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks,
Thank
Judy.
you.
Thanks for
Enjoy
all
your
work.
night.
Great to meet you all. Bye-bye.
All right. Okay. Very good. Moving forward, let me just take a couple minutes. Do you have any comments before we move on to Malia's presentation? Her block of whatever, the Skagit Transit stuff?
Staff ridership. Well, it says announcement, new staff. Is that going to be?
Oh,
are we
okay.
gonna-
So that's the next block. I was asking if anybody had any further questions before we move on to
about-
that. Yeah,
How do we?
about
How can we coordinate more with Anna?
I can actually, well, let's see. You're not on computer, but I can send this information out. I've sent her information out all along in email, and Manette, I can make sure you have it. And sure. So Irene, did you raise your hand?
I did. I just wanted to let Manette know that I am working with Anna on the Non-Drivers Alliance. So I have, so the Non-Drivers Alliance has 3 primary initiatives that they are that they are working on, and those are let's see, I have them here. The Week Without Driving, the grassroots organizing and public education. And Anna and I spoke last week about how we can support those 3 major initiatives. And I spoke with Judy last week about also how some ideas and how we can support those. So Judy and I are working some of those through, and we'll be bringing it to the board,
Right.
the CAC board, after we kind of refine those and have some discussions about them, including with Skagit Transit.
All right. 'Cause I'd like
Yeah,
to know
thank
how
you
we-
so much for stepping in.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah. So Irene's going to be our local go-to when it comes to that, when it comes to those things. So for right now, let's go ahead and move on to Malia, if that works for you. All things Skagit Transit business. Take it away.
Thanks, Judy.
Mhm.
As I shared last month, the Planning and Outreach Department has had some hiring that we've been really eager to fill. Rogelio has graciously stepped into customer service for the last little bit, and we are just thrilled to have filled that position. We have our new employee, Jennifer, who will be beginning on the 12th of January. In addition, we have filled Cheryl's role in public affairs and marketing, and that new hire begins next Tuesday. His name is Derek, and I'm looking forward to introducing the committee to him. In addition, we have created a new position at the agency that is now a culmination of both travel training and events planning. And that role will begin next Monday, the 15th, and her name is Sarah. She has a really phenomenal background working with the public in travel training and those with disabilities specifically on how to use Skagit Transit system. And so I am really confident in the team that we're assembling and the folks that we're adding to the agency. I think they all bring pretty incredible background that will enrich the services that we provide. So thank you all for bearing with me, mostly to Judy, for stepping up and helping this month with the CAC, getting the agenda out and the minutes out. I really appreciate it. We've just been really
No
short.
problem.
So that has been a really big thing.
Did you say Sarah or Tara?
Sarah.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yeah, so that's the update there. Like I said, the next couple months are going to be pretty busy with training and getting all those folks caught up to speed, but I'm looking forward to introducing you to these new roles as the opportunities present themselves. Irene, did you have a question? No, okay, just checking.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to hear the third one you talked about. She comes and just gives us a little
Yeah.
presentation at some time when she's got everything together.
Yeah, I'm still kind of figuring out, but I do think that it may make sense for her to be the staff liaison going forward.
Okay.
It wouldn't mean that I wouldn't still come, or Rogelio will come as he can, with his schedule. But I think it would be best for the person who's out there working with our riders on a daily basis, to hear the feedback from the committee. So more to come on that.
Yeah.
I'm eager to have them on the team.
Wonderful.
Was there another question? No. Okay. Going into a ridership update, we, as you know, report 2 months behind. So I'm reporting on October ridership. For fixed route, we had 48,920 riders this month, which is an 8.78% increase from October of last year.
Yay.
Year to date, fixed route ridership from January through October is up 7% for fixed route, which is great to see that we're still trending increased ridership. Not where we want to be for fixed route by any means, but a step in the right direction. For paratransit, this month compared to last year, we were up 16.5% with 7,917 rides, which is an all-time record for paratransit at Skagit Transit.
For a month?
For a month.
Wow.
So when you look at January through October of this year in comparison to last year, we're up 13.47%. So definitely feeling the effects of the increased demand for paratransit. We are really encouraged to see that the demand continues to grow, and we're doing our best to continue to staff accordingly and looking at software that can kind of help us best utilize vehicles and operators to ensure that we're able to keep up with the demand. Irene, did you have a question? Nope, still up. Okay, no worries.
I think she just needs to lower her hand, or her hand should be lowered from that last question, probably.
Perfect. I lowered it. It's down.
Okay. Okay.
And then this month, I would encourage you all to look at the board packet when it comes out or after the board meeting. I did a comparison of some similar agencies in terms of both geographic size and then operating budget, population for our board to look at. That was a request the board made of us. We've been providing enhanced reporting for the last few months, showing our cost per ride and all of that good stuff. But they had, a really good question of like, how do we interpret this? Like, how do we stack up against our peers? And so looking at both geographic neighbors and then true like service comparisons, we were able to kind of spell out, where Skagit Transit falls in terms of service offered, people served, the amount of expenses it takes to provide that level of service. So there's a pretty in-depth report that will go out in the board packets, around 14 pages. And if you guys have time to look through it before our next meeting, I would love to hear your guys' thoughts. If there's anything that I could do to clarify that information going forward, or if there's any additional data sets that you recommend we look at.
Does that come out on the website?
It will be on the website. It should be posted tomorrow. At the latest, it will be Friday.
Okay.
And I also get the emails with those, so I could forward those.
Great, that would be wonderful, Judy. Thank you. Other than that, I don't have any major updates to share beyond we are really crunching right now as an agency to figure out what we need to do to best prepare us for route changes coming this next year. I believe I've shared this. If I haven't, we are working on cleaning up our stop data. For the last year, we have not had data by stop. We've only had it by route. And so that was one of the big concerns I had when looking at the LRTP, is making any decisions that impact removing a stop from riders without knowing how many people we're actually serving. So we've been doing that work, and it is estimated to be complete at the end of this month. We've been working with some contractors who have been recalibrating these passenger counters that are in all of our vehicles to ensure that we're really capturing true on and offs of passengers. Once that dashboard has been set up, it will allow the planning and outreach team to look at each individual stop and to see how many people are riding. Are they riding with a mobility device? Are there certain times of days when it's busier and we may need to consider adding additional vehicles? Are there certain routes that could maybe utilize a smaller vehicle? So I'm really excited to have that information. I think it's something that we've really needed for a while. And that's really why we've taken the pause on the LRTP, is to make sure that we're not making any major decisions without that information. Similarly, so as I shared, we've been looking at software that will allow us to deploy the microtransit service that we have planned for Fidalgo. In that process, we've been evaluating systems that will allow us to have both paratransit and microtransit on the same dispatching platform, so that our dispatchers are able to jump between both services. That's a little bit in the weeds, but I wanted to share it just to kind of give you guys the information that there is a lot of work that's being done behind the scenes to get us to where we need to be on cloud-based servers that best utilize staff resources. And we are nearing the end. We hope to sign a contract within the next 30 days for that software and then begin to switch the agency over. I wouldn't, just because software is old doesn't mean it's bad, but in Skagit Transit, you know, we've been using the same software for well over 3 decades. And so it's just old, right? It's an antiquated system that isn't updated on the cloud. And so that's just a little bit of update on the LRTP. I promise, you know, work is being done, but we have just really realized that we need to slow down and tackle some of the existing systems to ensure that we can handle this big of a network redesign and that we're deploying service that best serves our community. So I'm happy to take any questions on that, but that is kind of my staff update.
Okay, I do have a question.
Absolutely.
Here I go again. While you're looking at software updating, are you looking at software updating in the Skagit station? I mean, that definitely needs to happen. I mean, we've got lots of improvements and I appreciate it deeply, but I would say that should also come under scrutiny.
Yes, it is, Judy.
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie, right now it's just me. So it has been a little bit difficult. I've been trying to keep myself focused on one thing at a time, but once software for service deployment is executed, then that is the next focus, is how we can get our website and our station notification centers up to date to make them more accessible and user friendly. And so when that work comes along, I will definitely be bringing you guys in. I wanted to give you an update to let you know where we're at in the process right now, and that I expect the CAC to be quite helpful in the future as we look at options for improvements, accessibility, and public-facing solutions. So I can't tell you timeline-wise, but I would estimate in the next 9 months, I will be asking you guys for your input and recommendations on different options we consider.
Okay. And then another question quickly on the board packets. Is there any specific assignment-wise that you're asking of us on the board packet, or simply just to look it over and have sort of a discussion format with it?
Yeah, I would just encourage you to look it over. There's a lot of information in there, and I think this group knows this better than likely any other group who would see this information. But it's difficult to compare any one agency to any other agency, right? You look at geographic size, you look at population, you look at where the population lives, you look at, you know, the time of day that they need to be transported. Operating budget can differ greatly by community, and the cost of, you know, livable wages.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of factors that go into this, and it is spelled out to some degree, but I would love your feedback on if this information is clear, if there's anything I can do to make it more digestible for those who maybe don't have as much insight into the operations of Skagit Transit. And then if there's any other, you know, subset of information you would like me to consider. This is really like a benchmark for us. It's made it very clear to us that our ridership needs to increase, which we know. When we look at the cost per service, we're actually quite a bit lower than most agencies we compared ourselves to. But when you look at how many people we transport, we're a lot lower than those agencies. And so that's all the stuff that our admin team is like living and breathing every day of how can we continue to cut costs and continue to increase service? You know, how can we best utilize resources to serve more people? But take a peek at this information. And let me know what your thoughts are, please.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for that. Any other questions for Malia? Okay, if there aren't any more questions there, have there been events that have been attended? I know you've been short-staffed, but I thought I better ask.
We did have one event on the 5th. It was the Winter Wonderland event for Burlington, and Rogelio attended that event and worked it. Participation was a bit slow just because it was geared towards younger children, but there was some interest from families about, you know, travel training and how to use the service. And so Rogelio had the chance to connect with them. We will
Wonderful.
take, you know, a bit of a break for events until the early spring. That is just the natural way that events happen for the agency. But in addition, it's going to allow our new events specialists some time to get acclimated and caught up to date on the different events that we have typically been involved in, and ordering some new materials, all of that good stuff. So I would expect that we'll give an update on our event schedule for the year in early April at the latest, potentially during our March meeting.
Okay, all right, very good. Okay, any other questions for Malia? Oh, go ahead.
Start, do you know?
I can't tell you for sure, only because if there are any hiccups with the software or with the ridership information, we're gonna do what we need to do to make sure that we make the right decisions. It is our timeline to begin making changes in May. We will likely start with a few routes at once, maybe 2 or 3, and make changes, and then give ourselves the time as a department to make sure we're communicating appropriately beforehand and during, that we're engaging with the public through community outreach and events, and then kind of introduce the next batch of changes. It is my hope that we'll have things up and running and decisions made by our March meeting, at the latest the April meeting, so I can give an update to the CAC in advance of what we're expecting to see. Rogelio has been hard at work on the rider guide for the last couple of months, and it's pretty much ready to go based on the feedback that you guys have provided. It's just kind of like a plug and play, right? Until those routes are finalized, he can't really give you a final rider guide to look at. But we hope to do that all at the same time, like I said, in like March or time frame.
So it'd be maybe before anything changes.
Yes, our routes, we have our bids that happen every couple of months.
Right, I know that.
Yeah, and our next bid will be in May that we would consider doing route updates. We would potentially consider September if there was a hiccup, but as it currently stands, the plan is for the May bid for routes to see some updates. No updates until then. I think I shared this last time. We just really wanted to focus on all of the planning that's being done for the LRTP. And then in addition, we have a lot of rider guides that we ordered. And so there weren't any emergent issues that needed to be addressed. And so instead of wasting those rider guides, we just made the decision to stay put with what we currently have, so that we're not making too many changes for our riders every couple of months. I know that that is really hard to deal with. So.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, if there are no further questions, we will move on to some of the committee business and some of the old business here. We're going to mention quickly. We've been talking about bylaws. This is one thing, and everybody was asked to, if you had any changes you'd like to make in the bylaws, look them over and bring your changes to the meeting. So what I'm planning on doing now, the officers and I, we met regarding bylaws, just talking about some things. talking about some things that we thought that would be good in the bylaws. But what I'd like to do now, and we can just quickly do this, we're getting a list of people and any changes they think they'd like to see in the bylaws. We're just putting a list together right now. And then the officers and I will meet, and then we will end up actually forming a draft proposal. We'll probably call it proposal 1 or something, but we'll do that with a list of anything we get from you guys. And I know I've had some emails from people, but what I'm going to do really quickly is I'm going to call your name. And if you have something that you've seen you want in the bylaws, let me know. I'm taking it down. And these are things that are going to go to the officers, into this like rough draft 001 or whatever you want to call it. And if you don't have any changes, you could just say no changes when I call your name. Is that clear? Will that work?
Okay.
Okay, let's
Yep.
do it. I'm gonna call the name. Okay, Ray, do you have any bylaws changes?
Nothing other than what you've suggested. So I went through that a couple times. So
Okay.
nothing from me.
All right. Now, did Doris join? No, Valerie joined
Yes.
us. Is Doris here?
Yes, Joyce.
Wonderful.
Yes, she's here.
Okay, and
But I
thank
don't
you.
know that she can speak. I don't, well, it looks like she's muted. I don't know if she can be unmuted on your end.
Yeah.
I can't unmute her, unfortunately.
Oh, so you know what? This happened to me on my computer, Doris. And what happens is probably on yours. There is a change in privacy settings that needs to happen in the computer. This happened to me on a board meeting. I was supposed to report and I couldn't. So yeah. So it could be something like that.
Now
For you.
Doris has, this is Valerie. Doris
Yes.
has posted in the chat. Is anybody monitoring the chat?
Yes, I am monitoring it. I
Okay.
wasn't when I was speaking, but I am now.
Okay, because I'm seeing she posted a question that is not it's not bylaws related, but it is an important question. So whenever it's
yeah, we'll definitely get to it. Yeah, because
Okay,
this
good.
bylaws thing, I'm just taking numbers. So yeah, taking names and whatever. So so Doris, if you have a bylaws thing, post it in the chat, and Malia, holler at me anytime if you see it posting, and I'll put it in here. And so Doris, I appreciate that. BJ, did you have any bylaws? I'm just going to go down the roll here.
Yeah, I think we've already talked about that. Perhaps eliminating the need for that person to be a recorder.
Yeah, got that. Yep.
We
got that covered.
Nothing else. Thank you.
Okay. Now, how about, did Louise ever join us? If not, okay. Did Robin ever join us? Okay. Chris, did you have any bylaws changes?
Not immediately. I will be more diligent and try to formulate any other thoughts within the next day or two.
No problem. And then I already turned mine in. And Dan, did he ever join us? Nope. Mike is here. Mike, did you have any bylaws changes?
No changes.
All right. And John is not here. Manette, did you have any bylaws changes after looking them over?
No. May I ask quickly, is a quorum 8 plus 1, which would be 9 if we have 16 members?
It is.
Yes.
Yes. I had to do the math.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. And let's see. Irene, did you have any additional bylaws?
No, other than, no, nothing more than what you and I have already spoken about.
Okay.
But I do have a question though, mainly to Skagit Transit. And does Skagit Transit anticipate making any changes to our bylaws? And if so, shouldn't we see some of that so we can take a look and make comments?
Malia was down on the list. I was going to be calling on her.
I was gonna say, the direction I've received from our CEO is that the bylaws will be set and ultimately approved by her, as it is an advisory group under Skagit Transit's direction. That said, she is very receptive to feedback from the CAC, but it will ultimately be passed through our attorney for our attorney's sign off. And then it would be, I don't see any reason why I couldn't present it to the CAC for the review. If there were any major concerns, we could have a discussion about it, but likely it's under her directed.
Yes.
To what
Right,
is
and
applicable, so.
right, and that and I get that, Malia. But it would be nice to have that information so that we can take a look at it.
As we're drafting, yes.
Because it is because it affects us, of course. So we just would want
Yeah.
to.
No, of course, Irene, and like I said, I don't mind sharing it, but it was her hope to receive feedback from the CAC prior to it going to the attorney. So
Yes.
Sure.
the next step would be, if you can submit recommendations to her, she'll review, send it to the attorney, and then at which point I can share it back to let the CAC see what, we've compiled, and then it would go to board for approval.
Okay, so what I hear you saying is, which makes sense because it does have to go to the attorney, is that we come up with the draft of the stuff that we want to see in the bylaws. And so that goes to her, the attorney, and then that comes back to us with the approved language. Then what I remember doing before is then the CAC looks at that and makes sure that everything in there is something that we ultimately approve of ourselves, and then we vote to take that to the board. This is what happened before. So yeah, so it goes right along with that.
Yeah, Judy, I think it would be similar. I think the one thing I will say though is the Skagit Transit or the CEO will determine what's in line with the agency's requirements. And as much as I want feedback from the CAC, ultimately, if members are not in line with what we come up with, that likely couldn't change what we see unless the CAC as a whole was to issue some type of recommendation or concern. That would probably be the most effective way to ensure that a concern was being incorporated.
And that would come in the discussions,
Right.
that would come in the discussion portion. Yeah, and I can see that. Yeah. And I can't think of anything she'd come up with that wouldn't, where we wouldn't fall in line with her or wouldn't fall in line with, we've been working with Crystal since 2023. So I can't think that there's anything there that, that would happen, but good to go over that process. Does anybody have any questions on, okay. So next coming up is Valerie. Do you have, bylaws?
I have
nothing. Okay. Now you have some other issues that aren't bylaws related. I'm about to capture that, but on the bylaws, David, next, do you have any changes you'd like to see in the bylaws? Okay. And Malia, it would be nice to kind of know where you guys are going, although I do understand your process. It would be nice for us to kind of know about that, too. That'd be great. All right. Does anybody have any questions bylaws wise before we move on? All righty. So what's going to happen is the officers will get together and then we'll give a draft with the ones that we've got, present it to you guys, see what you think, and that'll be in January. All right. So new business. I was going to be there to hand out some actual things today. But I will send it in the email. I will send it in mail and call anybody on the phone that needs calling. And there are a couple of people that aren't here that will need calling, so I'll do it. But I do have a rough draft of a possible recommendation vote that would eventually get to the board on amending the RCW law with Chapter 230 on the additional ridership on boards. What I can tell you is that I was telling you that Skagit non-drivers was coming to Skagit County. Well, that is Anna and Company. And she and I have been meeting with various board members, and we've gotten a lot of really positive feedback from board members that really like a lot of the ideas, have given us some other ideas. But, this is something that we need to talk about with the CAC. So I crafted a recommendation that would really be up to you in discussion to see if this is something that you would want to pass or to take to the board. And we will discuss that in January. I will be sending you out that. Along with that will be a summary of the bill, so you know exactly what is on. I say the bill, it's a law, but it's a bill summary, that I pulled off of the legislative things. So you will be getting that. So that's coming up in the next month. So those were the handouts I was going to give out, and then you guys will see it in the email too. The next thing is Valerie had some things that she brought up, and I wanted to follow through on some of this. One thing was the phone options thing that you brought up, where there was some confusion on the customer service versus the scheduling part of it. So would you like to address that? How's that gone for you, Valerie, and what do you think?
I'd be happy to. And I've mentioned this a few times over the years, that the menu when one calls Skagit Transit is long and confusing, and it would be wonderful if it was short and simple. If there were a shorter array of options. So scheduling.
Scheduling is number one.
Scheduling is number one. But the thing is that there's also, this number is also used for scheduling for the paratransit. And so, the language needs to be really clear. I would say the language is clear, but it's a long list of options, and it would be wonderful if it was rewritten so that it was concise and focused. I don't know how many options we have. Do we have all 9 options to send people to? So that it's, but an initial designation between paratransit and fixed route, although we wouldn't use the word fixed route because most people don't know what that is. Yeah, if you haven't called and listened to the phone tree, I encourage you to do so. It's long, I found it confusing, and I've been on the CAC for over a decade. I keep thinking about the new riders that we want to attract. And I don't know what voice is coming in, but anyway, I'm thinking about how to make the interface between new riders and Skagit Transit as easy and comfortable as possible, so people don't just give up and turn away. Sorry, that wasn't very concise.
What's the phone number, Valerie?
Pardon me?
What's the phone number, Valerie?
Oh, let me just bring up my phone.
360-757-4433.
Thank you, Judy.
Yep. And I believe 1 is the customer service. Let's see, 3 is eligibility, I think. Well, no, I'm sorry. 1 is paratransit scheduling. I said that wrong. And then I think 3 is eligibility. 2, I'm not remembering. Option 4 used to be for the travel trainer. 5, and I don't think it goes past 5. 5 gets you to Skagit Station customer service, not the scheduling, but the Skagit Station customer service where Lost and Found is. So if you're trying to get Skagit Station customer service and if they can't answer the phone, it will roll over to scheduling from what I'm understanding. Is this correct, Malia?
That's correct.
Okay, and then they will answer it and take care of your call if they can. And if they can't, they'll reroute you back to the Skagit Station customer service. But I believe there's 5 options. And then there is a pound that you would push if you want to get to somebody's extension. And if you don't know what their extension is, then you press pound again and you can spell out their last name and it'll route your call to them. A lot of businesses have a directory like that you can actually get into and get to somebody.
That's
But
true.
yeah, they've got 1, 2, 3. I just don't remember what the 2 is. I think 3 was eligibility, 4 was the travel trainer, and then 5 was the Skagit Station.
2 is customer service.
2 is? Oh, I'm sorry. And then what's 5?
So Judy, you've obviously memorized it, which is admirable. And
5 lost and found.
Oh, I didn't.
Which is
5
also
is lost and found. Okay.
often than not, so that's probably why.
Well, I didn't do a very good job of it, obviously. So
No. Great, Judy.
yeah, your knowledge is pretty darn comprehensive, and it would be useful to know if other people find this to be confusing or not, and if not, then it should just go ahead as is. My other concern, and thank you for remembering this, Judy, and this is one that I've been mentioning for many years. It would be wonderful if Skagit Transit would start to use the outsides of the buses to promote the service that we provide. Crystal.
We are working on it slowly, but
Okay.
surely.
Yeah.
We are working on it. So you will see something here in the next couple months. I promise you.
Great. Could we have an update at our next meeting about what some of that messaging is?
Not at our
Like
next,
put in your
because we're just now
What?
filling marketing position. So it won't be at the next meeting that there will be an update, but you can expect one by late spring for sure. But we just need to give that new marketing position a little bit of time to get acclimated before they take on that project. But I have been working on the framework of it. So give us a couple months to get him settled in his role, and then we'll definitely get an update.
That's very heartening to hear. Thank you.
Okay. Now, this is all that I had on the, and gosh, we are at the 5:30, but there was somebody else's question that I wanted to address. It was earlier in the meeting and I said it would come up and now I've already forgotten what it was. Is there anybody else's question that hasn't been addressed that should be really quickly?
We had a question from Doris regarding.
Yes, Doris, I'm sorry and thank you. Yeah.
She put it in the chat. She doesn't have access to the audio, but she said, is there any consideration of changing the 90X schedule to make a morning run faster to Linwood to get to the light rail? I will say that we have been looking at the frequency for all of the commuter routes. That is more of an issue of revenue and expenses than it is of anything else. I understand the need. We would love to do it. I'm not going to promise that that's going to be done soon, but it is certainly on our priority list if we can figure out a way to pay for it. So no promise, but definitely something we're looking at.
And so, Doris, I can also email you privately about the privacy settings thing. That drove me crazy on my computer, and I'll bet that's what's going on with yours probably. I don't know.
I don't think Doris is actually on the call anymore. I know she has a 5:30
all right.
a different board meeting to move to.
Yeah, and it's past 5:30 right now. But so thanks for that, Valerie. I appreciate that. Okay.
You're welcome.
Any other quick issues before we adjourn? If not, would someone like to bring a motion forward?
I'll bring it forward.
I'll second it.
Dave, and second by BJ. Okay, it's been moved and seconded that the meeting adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I,
Aye.
Okay, okay, anybody opposed? And David, don't say a word. Okay, our next meeting, if I'm not mistaken, is January the 12th. Let's see, is that right? Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday? No, wait. Anyway,
13.
13th. Thank you. Okay, I forgot to look.
No, I had to use my fingers.
Oh, well.
First,
count
second,
on my
third, fourth.
fingers,
Yeah.
too.
Okay, thank you all for attending and being patient with me not being there in person.
Thank you all. Have a great night.
thank you.
Very.
Thank you, Malia, for